Sorry, my mic was muted. Hi, my name is Rory. This is the Varietal Show for Varietal Literature. If you've never been here before, just to let you know what it is, the Varietal is, I'll do that really quick. Varietal is basically a writer's commune in Vancouver with some writers. There's up to 10 of us, depending on who participates. Felix here is one of our writers. And basically, we run a website, varietal-literature.ca. Link is in the description below, where you can go and read our short stories or poems or other things if you really want to. But we also stream twice a week. Tuesday night is myself reading fairy tales from traditional sources, so they're not sort of the watered down versions. And Thursday is our variety show, where we do some live writing based on chat suggestions. So chat, you've probably had a chance to catch up at this point. Let me know if our audio is working just fine, if the mix is okay, if something's too loud. And Felix, introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Felix. You may know me as Wildcard. I feel like that name is catching on, and I kind of dig it. Of all the nicknames I've had over my life, I think Wildcard is the one.
It mixes really well with your last name too, Wildcard Wong.
It does. Nice alert.
You broke up a bit. We'll see if you come back. The if you don't know Felix, or if you're brand new here, Felix recently had a story published in a journal known as Prism. And Prism is a pretty big deal, actually, as far as literary journals go. And you read it for us last Thursday. That's in our live reads playlist if you want to see it. Live reads are always one of us reading our own content and then answering questions and discussing a bit what we did later. All right. Well, Felix, because this is the Varietal Show, that means we're going to do three things. We are going to, first of all, do our recommendations, which is where we recommend books or movies, because a lot of people asked us to do that. I don't think our recommendations are any better than anybody else's, though. And that's a section that we call Left on Red, because I think I'm clever, even though nobody else does.
For me, this is really left on pause, because I keep talking about movies. I don't know if people want me to talk more about books or are movies okay.
I think it depends on the person. I mean, we're just talking about stories here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you need to write scripts. It's all writing.
Yes. Let me know if I cut out. I'm like red.
Yeah, you are cutting out
right now.
You okay? I'll tell you what. While you sort through... oh, there we go. Okay, you're back. If that happens again, I'll just start talking about my half. Okay, what's your recommendation? By the way, I should say, Felix is coming to us from Hong Kong, so the reception is about as good as I would expect. A little worse than usual, but can't blame everything. It's coming from across an ocean. Okay. What's your recommendation? What did you leave on read or left unwatched? Which doesn't work at all.
Are you familiar with the Godzilla animated movies on Netflix?
Not even the slightest. I've never heard of such a thing. I do like Godzilla. I think Godzilla gets short-shifted. I think it's treated as like Big Monster Smash, and there's definitely shows that are Big Monster Smash. However, I think that especially the original Godzilla brought a lot more to the table than Big Monster Smash.
Because we're going to be doing book covers today, I think these movies illustrate this point of having a really great premise to reel in viewers. It doesn't carry through on what it promises, but it does the job of just getting you through the door. And these movies have such that shit crazy premise. It's such a unique take on Godzilla that it got me sitting through all three movies, even though they were not very good.
Even though they're not very good.
It's a very sci-fi take.
Oh,
Yeah,
isn't?
unfortunately they're not, because I kept waiting for it to get good. Never got.
And this is your recommendation? To watch 3 movies that never got good?
The first, just because the premise is so nuts. It's about a future that imagines Godzilla as the winner. Like, humanity cannot take on Godzilla. When the first movie starts, humans have lost. They vacate Earth and they go off to space, where they spend years traveling through the stars, trying to locate other habitable planets. In the end, they decide, why don't we go to Earth? Because it's been hundreds of years. Godzilla is dead. So they go back, and of course, not only is Godzilla not dead, he's grown much larger, he's much more powerful, and the entire planet's flora and fauna have actually adapted to Godzilla.
Oh no.
So you get these plants that will survive being stepped on by Godzilla, and now they're like razor sharp or something, and they'll cut through humans. And so the movie is like, how are these people, these remnants of humanity, Godzilla is so much stronger, and they've got...
I see. So yeah, how are they going to survive? That's a pretty strong premise. The interpretation I was always handed of the original Godzilla is that it's a metaphor for atomic bombs in Japan. And I think that the original, like, black and white, definitely, I can see that. I wonder if that's spinning off of that animated version, whether they're doing something else with it.
I think they've abandoned all the symbolism in that regard.
Yeah, probably. They haven't really gone back to that in symbolism in forever. In the more recent one in the 90s, where they were trying to do like a Jurassic Park thing, they basically just made it a sympathetic creature, which was very strange given its premise originally. We do have some activity in the chat. So Scorm says, can't chat today. I have you on in the background while I work, though. Have a good stream, guys. I appreciate the entertainment. Well, Scorm, I appreciate you listening. Thank you very much. Holly says, we need to rename this the Rory and Felix Story Hour. Well, me and Felix are definitely the most stable mainstays here. Let me be clear. One of the reasons why I'm on everything is because I'm the only one who has the technology to do this. So this isn't that, like, it's supposed to be me all the time, me plus people. It's just there isn't another way. Most people don't have the right internet connection and so on. GS says the original movie was riveting, talking about Godzilla. Well, I don't know, maybe you'd like this animated one. That is...
Matthew Broderick version, or...
No, the original black and white. When I was a kid, I liked the Matthew Broderick version. And then I watched it when I was older, and I was like, what was wrong with me? Well, there we go. There's your recommendation. Definitely original. My recommendation is going to be a lot more straightforward. It's something that I recommend all the time that I haven't actually brought up here, so I felt like now was a good opportunity. And that is, it's free, it's online, it's called the Truth and Reconciliation Report. It is available, just Google Truth and Reconciliation, and it's like 10,000 pages, because it's mostly a historical record. But the first about 150 to 200 pages, which are easier to read than you might think, but you can chip away at it chapter to chapter, really fill in a lot of blanks that I think especially Canadians have on their own history. It covers about 400 years in about 150 to 200 pages, and I absolutely think coming up on, July 1st here, and other things that have been happening in the country, I think you would do yourself well, if you haven't already, to read those early pages of the Truth and Reconciliation Report. I think you should put all other books aside and give it a read. Yeah, that's my recommendation.
Jesus.
Sorry?
I feel dumb for bringing up Godzilla.
Don't at all. Nathan says Gorilla King of the Monsters delivers on Big Monster Smash for sure. Now, it's interesting because I feel like the more modern, the Jurassic Worlds, they're not as good, obviously, as like Jurassic Park's run there, but I think in terms of big monster smash shows that are kind of cool, I do think they deliver on that, and I don't think they're quite as bad as people say. All right, so that's our Left on Red. Your recommendation, do you even know the name of it? It's just Godzilla, the animated series?
Oh, man. Godzilla, I think the first one is called Godzilla Planet of the Monsters.
Okay.
The second one is Godzilla something, and then the final one is Godzilla Planet Eater, I think.
Cool. Planet Eater is a great name.
Weird names.
And then my recommendation is you go and download the absolutely for free Truth and Reconciliation Report. You can Google Truth and Reconciliation Report, read the first 150 to 200 pages of the first book. Especially if you're going to feel like engaging in some dialogue, you should know some things. So that means we go to the core of this series. What really brings the viewers in the swaths that they come. And that is hashtag #LitGames. LitGames, of course, is the hip way of saying literature games. Because we are known for being very hip here. LitGames is where we basically try to write some stuff live. And what are we doing today, Felix? Do you even know?
We are creating fake book covers, I believe.
Yes.
Are we doing the titles and the blurb?
We're doing the titles and the blurb. If nobody can think of any titles, then I have an enormous list of them because it's like my favorite thing to make up fake literature titles. But also chat, now would be the time to start pondering like titles you want us to write, little blurbs. And so we're going to write, as it says in the title, dust cover blurbs. Dust covers are those unattached paper shiny things around the cover of a book, sometimes called dust jackets as well. And on the back of those, it's usually about a paragraph or two that summarizes the story's like first maybe part of the second act, and then has like an opening at the end about what it could be. And so basically we just
wait, I got something to talk about that. You have been going around reading the blurbs for books lately.
Okay.
I realized that when it comes to reading a blurb on a movie versus reading a blurb on a book, the book blurbs are so bad.
Yes, they're
so boring.
That's part of the reason why I wanted to write them. They're terrible.
They're not even describing a story. They're really just saying like Bob is a 20-something guy who is really sad, and then he does this. And one day he meets this girl, but the rest of the story, she doesn't appear in it, so don't worry about her. But Bob is sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I find them very ridiculous. It's a whole, like, field to do those, too. I don't know if that's still the case, because everything's kind of, no one's full-time anything anymore, but there was a point where there was just people that wrote blurbs. But save your gold, because we're going to need it. Yeah, we're going on to lit games here, and our lit game, again, is that we are going to take titles. So just to give you some examples of titles that we could be talking about, give me a moment here, pull it right up. Great. Oh, so I have some example titles here. Oh, hello, Nico. Thank you for dropping in. I have some example titles here. The Slow Rain Burns Quickest, The Dasein of the Apple, Hippocrates' Fence, Caesar Looked East, A Feather Doesn't Speak, Two Doors Down and 1,000 Miles West, The Wind Brought Them Home, Ennui and Lollipops, The Inches in a Mile.
I can't tell if these are book names or band names.
A Vein in Every Leaf, The Infinite Recourse, Descartes and My Father, The Universal Garden, In the Striped Tent, Painting Rome, The Monads of My Youth, or Quantum Interventions. I don't know if anyone else is going to find this as funny as like writers do, because basically, to give you a slice of life on writers, you go to like live reads and things like that, and someone will get up and they'll be like, here's an excerpt from my book, Caesar Looked East, and you'll be like, really? That's because it's always these like incredibly vague titles that are meant to be the pieces that fit together as you read the book, and 9 times out of 10 you kind of already know what it's going to be like 10 pages in, or you never ever figure it out. It's like, what did this title have to do with anything? And you have to have like basically a lit degree to have figured out how it connected. GS says, wow, quantum interventions. So the question to you, chat, is there a particular dust jacket you would like to know the blurb of? So here we have our title. Well, let me size up
alternatively,
that font. Sorry?
Chat can come up with new titles too, right?
We certainly can, if anybody has new titles. Let's just start on one, though. See if chat comes up with something. Do you have a favorite, Felix?
I don't know why, but Caesar Looked East just makes me laugh every time I hear it.
Okay. Caesar Looked East.
There's something really specific about that image there.
See, Nico nailed it. Here's a passage from my recent piece, Open Window. Or sometimes it's like an obvious contradiction, like the blind window or something, and you'll be like, oh, God. All right, so the title is Caesar Looked East. Okay, Felix, do you have your document out there?
I do.
What is Caesar Looked East about? In chat, you can add your own recommendations here. It can't be about Caesar or anything about Rome. That is like number one rule. It can't be remotely obviously related to what the title is.
I feel like it would have to be about Caesar wanting to atone for his sins.
So it's about somebody wanting to atone for their sins?
Yeah, so Caesar leaves behind his empire.
No, I can't.
And then he travels east.
It can't be about Caesar, though. Like, if it's actually about Caesar, then it wouldn't be a true title. It can't be about Caesar. It has to be about some like housewife or something.
I got too literal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You forgot
I'm not lit enough.
Yeah, that's right. You're not. You're not in the literature mindset. What about like they always give like the age and stuff because they're trying to identify certain markets. So what about Joseph is a... Oh, wait. Nico says a man named Robert dealing with a missing compass. Okay, so we'll switch the name to Robert. Robert is Robert is not a young name. So let's say Robert is a 55-year-old. Is he successful?
There are no young people named Robert.
No, rarely anyways, outside of England. Nathan says life a little longer, memoirs of her future. As a recommended title. Okay, so Felix, Robert is a 55-year-old. Where's he at in his life? What does Caesar Looked East? Because here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe Caesar Looked East because Rome was very much a conquering of like the West world. Maybe it's about like an old man looking to conquer new horizons.
Looking to conquer the East? Or
Yeah, like he wants to go east.
Right. I like that.
Feel free to jump in
note.
and type anything. Caesar is the name of the compass. Robert is a 55-year-old. Like, is he failed? He has to be failed at this point. Otherwise, the irony of
Why
the
else would
title.
you go?
Yeah, that's right. The irony of the title would be lost. He's in financial shambles. Yeah, Nico has confirmed this. Definitely in financial shambles. So, Robert is a 55-year-old in financial shambles.
A 55-year-old lifeguard.
Lifeguard. Wildcard Wong coming through. Lifeguard.
And then he tried to swim east.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves yet, because remember, blurbs are incredibly uninformative as well. They just kind of say random things. But I do think he's in financial shambles because his knees are so bad he can't swim out and save people anymore. But we have to somehow summarize that in the blurb in a really unhelpful way. So there's like layers of interpretation here. Feel free to write. Caesar is a historical building due to be knocked down that the neighborhood is trying to save. Nico says he likes lifeguard. Betrayed him, maybe? Keeping with that Caesar idea?
Betrayed him.
Yeah, like his knees have betrayed him.
Oh, that's not bad.
I know what I want the next sentence
It's a
to be.
55-year-old knees have betrayed him 35 years ago.
As a 55-year-old lifeguard. And then I'll write the next sentence here. There we go. Okay. So, after an incident with his employer, he is left in his one-room apartment without, how do I want to put this? Let's just say unassisted living. Nico says backstabbed by the delicate humanity we call ACL. ACL is like a knee thing.
One day, his beloved compass goes missing.
Oh yeah, okay. No, I've got it. I know what it'll be. His compass, a gift from his estranged daughter.
This has got to be as convoluted sentence as possible.
It was missing. Well, he is hiking. No. Well, he is. What would he be doing with a compass? Nathan says recently kneeless Robert.
Might be a better book.
Nico says gifted to him by a lost lover. But in literature, if you are an old man, you're not allowed to have lovers. You're only allowed to have children that hate you. Recently kneeless Robert. Okay, I don't know what he's doing when he loses this compass that would matter, but he's got to be doing... Well, oh wait. I forgot one of the classics of modern literature, which is you have someone who's in the low point of their life, but somehow does things only rich people do. Like, for example, his compass, a gift from his estranged daughter, goes missing while he is sailing. How about that? Which makes no sense, but in the book will never be explained why a man on assistance in a one-room apartment somehow affords port fees. I call it the sitcom irony, where you have these people who live in studio apartments in central LA or New York and work apparently dead-end jobs, but somehow can afford it.
Good phrase.
His compass, a gift from his estranged daughter, goes missing while he is sailing. Robert... I do like this sentence, but recently kneeless is hilarious.
I think we should go with that. I think we should change his character to recently kneeless.
Okay,
it opens a lot of doors for literature observations.
Okay, I'm getting rid of the second half. Recently kneeless Robert is a 55-year-old lifeguard. After an incident with his employer, he's left in his one-room apartment on assisted living. His compass, a gift from his estranged daughter, goes missing while he is sailing. Now, we don't have to develop it much more. I will let you sort of do the crowning achievement here of the incredibly vague exit sentence.
In order to reconcile with his loss.
No, too much.
Too strong?
Yeah, it's too much of a connection. Remember, these sentences, they barely connect. I like where you're going, but keep that part in your head. No in order, just he, like, sails east, or well, more than that. But you see what I mean? Like, I like where your head's at, but if you said that much, it would be helpful, and that's not what book blurbs are.
I'm gonna need a moment.
Okay. Well, I got some chat here. Chat's big here. Holly says, "Oh man, you are classic." I'm assuming this is the recently kneeless Robert, because there was a lot of reaction to that. GS says, "This is great, just like the frustration I feel trying to figure out if a book's worth reading." Yeah, that's not what blurbs are about. Blurbs aren't really about explaining the book. They're about trying to tag your identity in that they assumed would read this book into it. They don't really care that you enjoy it, because there's a lot of writers and they just need to sell books. Nico says, "I agree that's his trope, recently kneeless. He sails so far west it becomes east."
All right.
They're perfect. I love this. Okay, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna try and add some drama to it, and then we'll go on to the next title. Recently kneeless Robert is a 55-year-old lifeguard. After an incident with his employer, he is left in his one-room apartment on assisted living. His compass, a gift from his estranged daughter, goes missing while he is sailing. Robert dives into the water in search of the compass, and at the same time, dives into the biggest adventure of his life. Holly says, you have to start asking questions. Will Robert find the knees he so desperately looks for? Nico says, bestseller, Holly, 10 out of 10 would read. All right, I don't want to get too stuck on Caesar Looked West. I do want to pick up on the recommendation that Nathan gave, which is Life a Little Longer, Memoirs of Her Future. Which is so on the nose. I feel like I might have read this before. All right. Oop. Just remembered something here.
I don't know, Nathan. One day you might wake up and see on the New York Times bestseller list a book with this exact same name, and you will try to sue them and claim worlds coming up with this, and you will fail.
Memoirs of Her Future. All right. I have I'm trying to think of like what this book would be.
Would have to be some sort of medical complication here.
You think so? You think it would go dark? Because okay.
I think it'd be one of those.
No, carry on.
I think it'd be one of those memoirs where people just write about the medical problem. Like, it's a medical problem that's probably quite common. It's not news, but then they're very much focused on it, and it doesn't really talk about anything else. There's no deeper themes than I am suffering from this medical problem that a lot of people have.
I mean, it could be. It could be that. I do like the idea of. I think one of my favorite genres of story is people who have not particularly bad conditions. Like, I'm not talking about like cancer or AIDS or anything. I definitely understand why those kinds of things exist. But it's like something really specific, like, you know, a certain really rare knee condition or something. And instead of sharing the experience, they use it as like a soapbox. I think that is a whole genre about some really issues so specific it could basically just be about them and maybe two people they know. But then they talk about it like it's a large social issue. However, I will tell you my first instincts. I will share my first instincts back with this title, which Nico says life with IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. Exactly. The first thing that hits me is this is because of it's about her future. This is someone who has not spent a lot of time in the world, but still feels empowered to lecture other people about life. So like 23, 24-year-old just got out of university and is gonna talk about like how they got over their family or their small town or something. That was my first instinct. Let's see what chat says. Did you notice anything you liked in chat?
IBS is okay, but it's not ridiculous enough.
No, and IBS can be pretty problematic. She lost her successful Instagram account and has to start over. I do like that, because I can think of ways where someone would turn them being a jerk into some sort of persecution. YouTube comments are automatically trademarked, aren't they? Yeah, of course, Nathan. Trademarked by the people putting the stream on. All your stuff is mine. Holly, is life worth living when you have to start over from follower 1?
That's the book.
That's it. Holly has won me over. Every other suggestion is flushed.
These are such deep philosophical questions we're tackling.
Oh my god. Nico says losing the blue check on life. All right. How do we want to start this, Felix?
Oh, same thing. Her age. We gotta give a little little bit of a normal world. We gotta talk about who she is before she loses that blue check, before she goes back to follower 1.
Okay. So a sentence about her success. So like she was the top 38 influencers in the world for I don't know math facts. No, that makes no sense.
Sharpie collecting.
Sorry, say that again.
Sharpie collecting.
Sharpie collecting?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Probably.
I was gonna say chat distracted me there. Nico says crystal because it's not phonetically sound. I don't know what that means, Nico. Top 2% for sleep vitamins, Nico. I'm just giving the show to you. How do you feel about that, Felix?
2% for sleep vitamins.
She was in
I don't know when he sleeps.
You know what? Here, I'll start us off. Crystal was the one of the top 75 sleep vitamin influencers on Instagram. in 2017. There you go.
I'm going to add a sentence in there because I think you need to lean into the hyperbole a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, please, add in. Sorry, Chad, I'm listening to that song again. That's like one of my favorite songs. Oh, yeah. See, I actually considered starting it that way.
Always trust your instincts when it comes to writing book blurbs.
Okay, where do we go from here, Felix and chat?
And of course, we need some sort of inciting incident, some strange event to make her fall from grace.
About. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to be one that makes her a victim, but in a way where it's not so obvious that she actually is a victim. You know, like caught in the tides of the algorithm, or, you know,
tides of the... What is this, Tron?
Isn't everything Tron? What was the other one I was going to add? Caught in the tides of the algorithm, or See, I want to pull an angle in about, like, being mobbed by haters, but you're trying to capture that.
Maybe there is a scandal where she sells sleep vitamins, but they find out that she just outsources them from
that's
China, whatever, and she sells them for a much higher price.
Okay, but it can't say that because it has to, like, A, be vague and unhelpful, and B, has to make her look like a hero even if she was, like, a well-known jerk. Like, I'm thinking of, like, when Fox News people write books and they're like, the liberal mob took him down, but here, see his uncensored voice. Like, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure you're just an obnoxious jackass and no one wanted to listen to you.
Nico says, due to a product recall, her career entered its REM cycle.
Oh wait, how about we just, I'm gonna put it down on paper and we'll see how we all feel about it. After being drawn into the melatonin slave labor scandal of 2018, Crystal lost the blue check on her Twitter and her life.
I think that's too serious.
No. Okay. I hear you.
Scandal.
I hear you. But here's my thinking on it. Because the next sentence is going to be about how she is the hero for coming back from this, and make it very clear that in no way did she absorb the seriousness of the things she was involved in, which feels very on brand with, like, these kind of pop culture autobiographies. We can see what chat feels about it. I do want to end it on is life worth living when you start from follower 1, of course. But we need one more sentence that sort of hints at what the arc of the book is going to be.
Okay. I'm thinking.
Search that experience of being in a bookstore, looking at the back of a book and going, I don't know what this book is.
I got it. I think I got it.
Okay. Wildcard Wong is at the keyboard. Everybody, brace. There is no predicting what is coming next. Will it be the reason these streams stop? Very probably. Find out why in 10 seconds. Oh god. I think that might be a little too specific, Nico. I think maybe 80% of my audience, which is like 8 people, is not going to know what that means, but I do like it. Oh, GS, that's a good one. But an important revelation leads her on an incredible journey. It's great in its subtlety.
Yeah, there is a lot of vagueness in that.
We can put that after yours. Where were you going with yours? Finish yours.
I only had half the thought. That was it.
I see. Okay.
I was hoping you could come up with the other half, the half that gets us banned from YouTube.
Actually, no, not at all. You say nothing more. So it's a comma, and then we can tack on. I may have to change the vernacular a bit. Surprising strangers along her path lead to an important revelation that leads her on. I'm so annoyed by this book. Incredible journey. And then we cap it with what's it?
It's life worth living, or what? Wait, is that? I forget the whole sentence.
Yeah. Crystal must determine, or no, screw it. Life is worth. Okay. This one was a little longer. So, Life a Little Longer, Memoirs of Her Future. Crystal was on top of the world. She was one of the top 75 sleep vitamin influencers on Instagram in 2017. After being drawn into the melatonin slave labor scandal of 2018, Crystal lost the blue check on her Twitter and her life. Left with nothing, she is faced with the ultimate choice. But surprising strangers along her path lead to an important revelation that leads her on an incredible journey. Crystal must find out if life is worth living when you have to start from one follower. I do like Nico's version of that. Crystal must answer the age-old question.
I've seen this exact book on a shelf.
If I'm able to, some of these are going to be a little tough to do. What I do want to do, if you don't follow us on Instagram, you should. It's at Varietal_lit. Or on Twitter, it's the same thing, at Varietal_lit. The links are down in the description. I'm thinking I might try to Photoshop some of these together, and make covers of books and put them up there. We'll see how the time works out. But you guys can check out our... check out the books that we created, because I had a lot of fun creating Hippocrates' Fence for the advertisement on this stream on our Instagram. All right. Well, Felix, do you feel good? Do you feel like we've contributed to the canon of art?
I think we have given other people a lot of ideas to steal.
You'll just have to get on it. Abandon your heart-wrenching book about the Thailand air crash that killed your aunt that you are currently writing, abandon that nonsense and assume a fictional identity that you're going to sell as real, named Crystal, and sell Life a Little Longer: Memoirs of Her Future. They'll be battering you for it.
Just watch, man. You laugh now, but I'm gonna be the one signing a movie contract in a year's time.
That is how it goes. Which brings us to our last section before we wrap up for the day. Thank you again, chat. That was hilarious. I had a lot of fun writing those. If you did enjoy this, I've actually kind of split our playlist off now because the Varietal show is a bit different than the way we started in the first 2 months with Lit Games, which were longer and basically just writing stories live. So I'm going to sort of cross-post them for a while. But if you just want to watch this format, go check out our Varietal show. There's only a few on there, but if you want more of like me and Felix and some of the other writers in the group, like Avalon and Dana and Spencer, you can check out the hashtag LitGames playlist, and you can follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube to know when we go live and decide if that's something you want to watch or not. If not, you can just swipe it out of your notifications, but you won't miss it because it's definitely more fun to be here live. But the last section we do is unqualified advice, which is typically where we give sort of some writing advice to people who want some writing advice or just art advice in general. Was there anything you were burning to say, Felix? I do have some things I wanted to say.
Maybe I'll let you go first, and I'll see if I can.
I'm definitely
steal something from your idea,
but that's okay.
And expand.
Think
so?
Yes. My advice is actually not going to be advice. My advice is a little bit different. I this is more serious than the show is usually, but I drift around social media a lot. And obviously, there is a very heart-wrenching series of events occurring in Canada right now about finding unmarked graves and so on, and mass graves around our residential schools. And that alone is pretty traumatizing for the people who obviously were connected to it. But then I noticed on social media that I saw just a laundry list of things that I don't think people like that need to hear or should hear, and a lot of it took the form of questions. And I think some of them were really well-intentioned, but nonetheless, they're asking the wrong person at the very least. So one thing that came up a lot, and I think it was well-intentioned, and I just kind of want to take my time here to answer this thing now the best I can so that you will leave people alone who are hurting with questions that really they don't owe you an answer to. And the one that I really wanted to address that I saw the most was well-intentioned people. I mean, there's lots of nasty stuff, but well-intentioned people saying things like, you know, I want us all to be together in this one country of Canada and whatever else as a kind of extending of a fig leaf or whatever, however you want to think of that. And they didn't always get a good response, and they got very offended by that and took that as belligerence. So I'm going to just very briefly here try to explain what it means to be sort of nation to nation versus that idea that you don't know you're imposing, but being Canadian. So to understand, when Canada confederated, there was a whole swath of land that was acknowledged by the people who were involved on our side in Confederation was not our land, but we wanted to use it. And so there's a lot more history to this, but basically at the point of Confederation, some treaties were signed. But those treaties, and this is the key thing, if nothing else, if you zone out for the rest, this is what you gotta understand. Those treaties were not for settling the land for the most part. There's quite a few, and they cover all of the prairies, Alberta and BC. What they were largely for was for use, like, you know, beaver pelt trade and reaching the other ocean and things like that. And in order to use those lands, there was an annual fee they were supposed to be paid, which often has not been paid, but wouldn't necessarily fix the more fundamental problem with the deal was not to give the land rights away, the property. Because basically what I think those well-intentioned Canadians are missing is they think that Canada just is what this land is. And I'm trying to explain that there was a deal made with something called Canada, and then Canada ignored that deal and took over basically all the land and settled it. And people who were in those communities that made those deals and treaties in good faith and then had them ignored don't consider themselves Canadian very often. I'm not speaking for everybody here. Not because they hate you personally, or because they don't want to have a peaceful life with you, or whatever, all these other things that I saw out there. It's because they are different nations that greatly predate the idea of Canada, that made a deal with Canada, and then Canada sort of just settled, and then came back and said, well, now you're on our land. So you can hopefully, if I haven't lost you at this point, hopefully you can understand why that shouldn't set you off. It's not a personal attack on you. It's a basic element of history that this land belonged to a lot of really old nations who did a lot to take care of that land. We made a deal with it. We are not the sum total of this land. And that's why you see that out there. People who say they're not Canadian, they're not attacking you personally. It's an organization basically that didn't keep its end of the bargain. So hopefully that makes some sense. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm no historian exactly, but if that causes any of you to just lay off some people, I would appreciate. I would feel like I've achieved my goal here.
That doesn't sound like unqualified advice. That sounds like qualified advice.
I'm not a historian, and there are definitely voices that would be better to express this. But this is, somebody once told me that like it's exhausting to be facing questions like that all the time. So I'm basically trying to talk to other white people, or at least people that consider themselves settlers in Canada. So that's really rough and dirty. If you want more detail on any of that, or you want sources, because it does kind of rub up against certain views of Confederation that you might have heard before, that's why I recommended at the beginning that you read the Truth and Reconciliation Report. It has sources, it has everything you would want. It's an incredibly well-researched, enriched text, and it's not particularly inaccessible or hard to read. And that is my unqualified advice. You can see why I said you probably don't want to follow me up. Felix?
I think I can do it.
Oh God, okay. Oh no. I have my finger hovering over the end stream button.
One mute button? No, okay. My advice is that if you have any interest in writing, it doesn't have to be serious, just if you have any interest in creating stories, whether it's diaries or like even tweets, I consider tweets like a valid form of writing. I would recommend reading a wide source of material, watching a lot of different movies. Like, don't just go for stories that you are interested in or that you feel has to do with your topic of interest. So go watch Godzilla. Go read the Reconciliation Report. See, I'm tying everything in.
Yeah, actually,
because I think a lot of times.
Go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say that I actually really agree with that, because I think if you want to write stories, you can't, if you just consume one genre, one way, and you don't consume other information, it just becomes very recycled. And I think part of what I was thinking in the back of my head is this joke thing we were doing about life a little longer, memoirs of her future, or whatever else. They really are people who have had something happen in their life, but they are often people who have read a lot of these kind of literary pseudo autobiography kind of texts, and they follow this exact formula every time, and they have very little additional observation or unique anything to add to it. And because of that, I think that it informs a lot of kind of this snarkiness that I feel about it.
Yeah, and I think inspiration comes from the strangest of places. It doesn't mean you have to only be inspired by a good book or a good movie. Sometimes you watch a bad movie or read a bad book, and you'll find that maybe you learn to do things a different way. Maybe you'll be like, oh, they tried this format and it didn't work for them, so how can I improve on that, or whatnot. So I think there's definitely a lot to learn from other sources of media outside of what you're accustomed to consuming already.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's why I watch, romance movies, and I try to read books that I don't think I would ever otherwise read. It's kind of the difference between being sort of a hobbyist and trying to be a professional, right? Like, you got to know a lot of different stuff when you're a professional. A hobbyist, you can just basically write fan fiction and read one type of book, and it doesn't matter. And that's just perspective on what you want to do. All right. Well, I had a lot of fun today, guys. I'm sorry if it bummed you out a bit to talk about serious things, but it certainly didn't feel right to ignore that, given that we are very distinctly a Vancouver place. And I hope that wasn't particularly triggering for too many people. On that point, there is a link to the next story down in, which is the final part of my story, which has been running all month, 4 parts. But that link is currently dead. I'm not going to put it up today because it does actually touch kind of in the end on residential schools. And it didn't feel right to put it out today of all days. But I will have it up this week. It will go up eventually, but today didn't seem like a good day for it. So, no new story this week. Well, Felix, I think we wrote some brilliant books. How about you?
Likewise, I think so. I think chat has it beat us today. They got better contributions than we did.
Chat did better than us, for sure. And let us know what you think of this, and if this is something you'd like to do again, or if there's a twist you can think of you want to do. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter if you want to see the book covers I come up with for our fictional books. Felix, thank you so much for coming, and thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us today. It's hot out today, but outside of our fictional little shop here, it is, of course, raining, so don't forget your umbrella. Thank you very much, guys, and take care.
Hi, everyone.